Hello again and Abdul'Baha. My name is Abbas Tamori. I'm the elder of Baha'u'llah on the earth. To continue to finalize this Faith of God, final episode of it, formation of the universal laws of guardianship. Today's 10 o'clock, 16th of February, on Thursday. Before I continue, I'd like to ask some of you. I have my videos, I'm watching some of them, and there are advertisement on it. Somebody's advertising on my video, but I'm not aware of it. Is this done by Google, YouTube, without telling me? Or somebody's using my name and trying to make money? Because I have not put any ad on these videos. This is not a money-making business. Secondly, there are some people that they like to contact. They say, well, we're contacting you, we couldn't, this and that. My email that you should use right now is called guardianship@rogers.com. guardianship@rogers.com. ROGERS.com. Send your emails with your question if you have, and I'll try to answer, and then we might get onto WhatsApp and talk. Now, today I'm going to speak about something. As a child, it was a question for myself, that how do prophets of God become prophet? Like Jesus, like Muhammad, like Baha'u'llah. And it seems to be a question for a friend of mine from Australia. How does one becomes an elder? And what are these spiritual so-called stations in the Baha'i Faith? In the Baha'i Faith, we have 4 infallible stations, which is the Bab, Baha'u'llah, Abdul'Baha, and Shoghi Effendi. Nobody else is infallible. Bab had 18 disciples. They called letters of the living. They were not infallible, but they were themselves, without help of anybody, they recognized Bab to be the promised one. Since they were not infallible, one of them actually gone astray and was replaced by Abdul'Baha, with the cousin of God, who built the Mashraq al-Askar Baha'i temple in Ashgabat in Russia. Bab and his 18 letters of the living, they come into the Baha'i Faith as elders. Even Bab is an elder. Using the word elders does not reduce his being manifestation of God. He still is manifestation of God, but also he's one of the elders. It just tells you the station of elders varies from very low to the very high. Then, at the time of Baha'u'llah, he started another title. It's called Hands of the Cause of God. In this case, they were appointed by Baha'u'llah. Then they were appointed, 4 of them by Baha'u'llah, I believe. 8 of them were appointed by Abdul'Baha. And Abdul'Baha says after him, Shoghi Effendi, the next infallible guardian, has to name the hands of the cause. And he did, I don't know, up to 52 people. Many of them were died, but he called them hands of the cause of God. But after his passing, there were 27 of them. Again, they're not infallible because one of them, Mason Remy, according to the decision of the hands of the cause of God, he's gone astray. I don't think so. He was not cooperative because he probably had mental problem, or it was old age, whatever. So now we want to know, what is this stations? Is Hands of the Cause of God the latest one? by Shoghi Effendi, Abdul'Baha, and by Baha'u'llah. Is that means they are more spiritual than others? No. This is not a spiritual title. It's a relevant title for a person who wants to be a spiritual. At that time, one of the biggest Baha'is, I think, the most service that he did, he was a Persian named Abdulhamid Ishraq Khavari. Some people are asking me, how come Shoghi Effendi did not choose him to be the hands of God? I told him, because he was overqualified. His knowledge was so vast. So basically, Shoghi Effendi calls him the ocean of knowledge, This man was special. He was overqualified. Shoghi Effendi chose that 27 hands of the cause of God because he saw a chemistry between them, that there won't be dissension. Still, there was one. Ironically, this also was a Baha'i that was very active, Mason Remy. But he could not be the part of the others. So, and after that, of course, this issue of the elder comes, that I am one of them. So I would have to kind of explain to you how does to begin with a prophet like Bob, like Muhammad, like Jesus Christ, they find that they are the promised one of God. From the very birth, they were designated to be the next messenger of God, the next manifestation of God. But nobody is going to tell them that they are. God is not telling them. No. They have to get to that realization by themselves. As the time goes, they find out they're different from other people. For example, Arabs are fighting over anything. It's written that one day one of these big idols fell on the floor in the Kaaba, those that were keeping the idols in them. And the two tribes are fighting that this is our God, we want to put him back on the stand, and the others said no, they were about to fight. They say Muhammad was there, he was a young kid probably, or a young man. He threw his rope on the ground and said, put it on the rope and all of you lift it. Don't fight over this. You see, it shows his difference from other people. It's also written that he was talking to a priest by the name Buhaira, and he asked him questions. No, this was actually Nufal, the uncle of Khadija, later on his wife. Khadija later on became the wife of Muhammad. Asked him a lot of questions, and he found out that this boy is different. He must be the promised one of God. So Muhammad sees these things, and he sees these differences with the people, his kindness is why they're doing this. I've several times said, it's like a Tarzan in the jungle. He's been raised by monkeys, but as he grows up, he knows he's not monkey. He can think. There are differences between him and monkeys. By himself, he found out he's different. This is the same situation with the prophets of God. So we hear there are awakening stories because people, they want to know why and how. Baha'u'llah explained that in 3 different ways. He says to the king of Iran, I was sleeping in my bed and this breeze of the inspiration from God just came to me, and that's how I became prophet. Then he says another place, I was in prison of Tehran, that I felt something coming into my head, to my chest, on my back, and because of that I became who I am. Another place he says that I was reading the war of Bani Qurayza, Jews. They were fighting with Muhammad. He said Baha'u'llah was reading that on that day Muhammad ordered about 700 of them to be beheaded. He says, I knew this is the order of God because these guys, they were not going to change. They were ambushing Muslims several times, killed his uncle, and they were not going to, stop. So Prophet ordered to be beheaded. Baha'u'llah says, when I read that story, my heart was full of pain and sorrow. I decided to just create peace in the world. And then it says, after a few days, I saw changes in myself. See, there is an awakening, they're calling. But they are themselves their own teachers, it seems. We have heard from Buddha. Buddha leaves his house, his palace, when he saw the poverty that people have and sickness, and his father is trying to hide it from him. And he was in jungle for many times, many days, God knows how many. One day he's sitting and he saw a fisherman comes with his, worker. And he says to the worker, the fisherman, don't tie the rope so hard that you can't open it, and don't make it loose that the water might take it away. Buddha, because of that, he says he was awakened, that it should be the balance, not so much either way. So his message was balance. This is how Baha'u'llah finds out he's Baha'u'llah. But an infallible being must be infallible from the beginning, because you cannot grow up to become infallible. It's impossible. It's like, this is evolution, as they say. A dog, a cat, any animals, anything, they cannot grow to become human. It's not possible. They might be thousands times better than a human. A human could be like Mr. Putin. He's worse than any animals God has created. Hitler, we know he was sick. I think Putin is sick too. So, but yet, he is not an animal. He can think, he can decide. He's not better because he's a human. He's not closer to God because he's human. No. But yet, he has different capacities. Doesn't matter what a human being, such as me, doing, I will never become infallible. I can never become Abdul'Baha or Baha'u'llah. I must serve much more than that. One of the people asked Bob, okay, you might have done more prayers in the night, more fasting, and a lot of things. That's why you are bigger, he tells him, than Sayyid Kazim or Sheikh Ahmad. Bob says, there's nothing like that. I actually eat the best food if I find it. I have not done any pain or suffering and I don't like it. None of that you say I have done to become who I am. Again, he answers, there is nothing that I have made as a human to become me. I am me as I am. But yet nobody tells them. They themselves, they have such a conscience that they see people are in trouble. And they know they have the power, the kindness, the influence, that they have to help them and to do it. And during the course, they find out they are the one. Elders are pretty much like this. If there is 3 elders has been recognized, mine, myself, and 2 others, I don't know where they are right now. They were not very active at all because I told them, don't call yourself Baha'is among the Baha'is. I told them so. They said that we are not knowing about Baha'i Faith because they were Muslim background. They decided that I have to be in charge and do what I think is right. And we came to this point. But there is 2 more elders. I had a friend of mine was asking, how do I become elder, or I am an elder. She said, I am an elder of God. I told her it takes 1. to no one. At this point, not after the two elders come. When they come, the seat is gone. After that, anybody calls me elder, he does not have a chance to become an elder because the number is finished. So what eldership is, as opposed to prophet of God, prophet of God is born infallible. He doesn't become infallible in the course of time. Abdul'Baha is the same thing. Shoghi Effendi is the same thing. So is the Bab. You can't make, if you can make a monkey a human, then you can make a man to be Shoghi Effendi. It's impossible. Okay? Again, this is not the question that I'm trying to make them even bigger than you and I. Baha'u'llah says, I find myself as utter nothing when I compare myself to one of the servant of God. This is what he says. The fact he says, I am Baha'u'llah, I am the center of the universe, is not a claim. He's just merely, at the most humility, he says, this is the reality. That's what he is. Take it or leave it. So, in the case of elders, they are not born to be an elder. No, this is an open contest. The stations are predestined. Like there's two more elders have to come because there have to be 5. So for 2 more we need. These 2 positions are available. Who it is, whoever gets it. So how does it become? It's not by you doing a lot of great work and praying and doing, no. First, you have to want to become an elder. First, you have to want to become a spiritual man. And a spiritual man who has dedicated himself to the cause of Baha'u'llah. That is the prime directive. Then you find that, hey, there is a situation that there are 2 elders. You look at it, you find out, oh my God, for the sake of God, I have to claim that I'm an elder. Because if I don't, Abbas is alone. He doesn't have the 3. So, as my nephew said very rightfully, long time ago, he didn't come back. His name is Ahmad. He said, I should be taking the sin of calling myself an elder for the benefit of the cause of God. Even if I go to hell, it doesn't matter, as long as I know the cause of God is getting benefit out of that. It's a very right approach. So, but by this is very important. By being an elder that I am, at no means it means the others are not as spiritual as me. Or in the eye of Baha'u'llah, I'm bigger. Absolutely, this is false. Why am I? Because I'm qualified for what he wants to do at this time. Let's say Baha'u'llah wants to send somebody to take a message to the King of France. There is nobody out there to speak French, except for one person. Well, then he's the only qualified guy. He would be sent to go to give the message. Not that others are not able to do it. It's just because he speaks a language. It's a matter of relevancy. I'm the type that eldership, to be honest with you, does not define who I am. Those who read my Masnavis in Persian, or later on, to find out, they find out what really I am. But I'm serving as an elder of God because it's necessary. So, first, you want to be a spiritual, you like a spirituality and you're a spiritual, then you specify this spirituality to serve the cause of Baha'u'llah. There are many plans of being a spiritual, probably, according to people. This plan of Baha'u'llah you take, and you go in and every day you try to teach Baha'i Faith. Incessantly. Continuously. Non-stop. Okay? And it gets you closer, closer, closer. But if you don't say you're an elder and you don't call yourself, Baha'u'llah will not tell you you're an elder. He will not. Because that is the court, holy court of the free will. Why should he call you something that you say you're not? He only judges you if you say you are. You are or you're not. And when you say you are, as the time goes by, you yourself find that no, you're not. As one of the guys that I knew in the past, he called himself an elder. I think he found out that he's not. Okay? Because there is nothing in this except pressure, except force, except problem. It is impossible for you to understand how sad I am for where the cause of God is, where the universal laws of justice is. You know, what is this problem? When is it going to solve? And then some say, don't worry about it. This is the business of God. God fix it. Unfortunately, Baha'u'llah says no. What I promise is the major plan of God, that earth will become one planet, one government, and everything else. But the minor plan, which is the Baha'i Faith, will they become Baha'i or a spiritualized world? He says it's up to the Baha'is. Shogh Effendi directly says. They ask him, this faith will become like other faith, another burden on mankind? He said it's up to the Baha'is how far they want to go with it. Abdul'Baha says, if two universal laws of justice is formed and they don't get along, no, he says if two universal laws of justice is formed, both of them are wrong. And then he refers and to the word of Baha'u'llah, which he says if two people are fighting over whether I am God or I am the manifestation of God, they're both wrong. Because unity is the central core here. But this Baha'i unity is not sacrificing the truth. It's not. I have to explain what that is. So, and then again he says, if the Baha'is, they don't get along in heart and soul, this religion, like the religion of the past, will become disintegrated. Just a name will remain of it, you know. He says that. Because this is the situation, and several times Abdul'Baha complains this several times, that the cause of God may go down if you don't get up and do something about it. So, this is what worries me. Now my friends that are Baha'is in the world, the stunt Baha'is, they're saying, what is this man which me is talking about? He's the cause of the problem. He's the cause of disunity. They think I'm the cause of disunity. And they themselves, they think the cause of God is a baby and they're the babysitter or they're the guardian. They have to save it based on their own understanding. What this friend of mine have to understand, they are looking at a social level to the faith of God, which is the relationship of the Baha'is, which is assembly, which is universal laws of justice. These are not the spiritual things. These are just to fix the problem between the Baha'is. They are spiritually initiated by God, but they themselves are not a spiritual entity. If you're a member of universal laws of justice or assembly or consular or monsular or whatever, that means nothing to God. As thousands of times said that in the writing. You know. Bob says if you make a person sad, for 19 days you cannot sleep with your wife. That's a fine you have to pay. Or, I don't know, so much gold where you're poor silver. It's that bad. Making a person sad and sorrowful. This social friend of mine, social Baha'is, have to look at the bottom and say, why am I doing this? I'm not that stupid, man. the cause of God is a danger. We have to do it. So, going back, if you like to serve of the cause of God, first, if you like to be a spiritual, if you're helping people, if you're concerned, when you see people are dying around, you feel you want to do something about it, and then you go start to do it, and then you become Baha'i, and go to the Baha'i Faith and teach people, and you see that you get a feeling when you teach them, a feeling of enrichment, a detachment from the other things. This becomes a big hobby for you. Then you know there's a position called elder. Then you find out why should you be an elder? What's the use of it for you? And what is it that it is important? Once you know all of those so sincerely, then you say, I am an elder. Now, if you're not, Baha'u'llah will tell you you're not. You will find out yourself you're not. But you cannot decide for yourself whether you are or you're not. Okay? You go on and you find out. As a kid, I was like this. I wanted to know why my dad is praying to God, going up and down. Where's God? I said. Then it took me to mosque. I was, horrified to see thousands of people are bending down. I said, this God is serious. We have to go talk to him. What is he? He's made everything. I said, Baba, I have a lot of problems. Let me ask him. He was laughing. He said, what are you saying, boy? I said, well, he said, we cannot see him. I said, but he made us. Anyways, after sometimes I knew I let it go. But when I found out there's a hidden imam, like the promised one, so for sure I would find him and talk to him. Then I ended up reading this book, Quran and Bible. I said, this is all garbage. I left it. I became virtually a communist. Soon I found out Karl Marx is wrong too. Then I went to read the book of Attar and Rumi and others. I found out there's a big discrepancy here between my father and Rumi and all these things. What is going on? At this time, I hit Baha'i Faith through my friend. I mean, I knew my uncle was, but I wouldn't pay attention too much to him. This friend stuck to me, and he gave me the Baha'u'llah's writing. It was a poetry. As soon as I read it, I said, this is him. This is it. He is my father. And what must have he gone through if he talked about these things 200 years ago? Then I got into it. Came to the point. I wrote writing. Even in the writing, I called myself Pir, which means an elder, but I wouldn't know what it means, okay? I just wrote it. Anyways, when I was told by Abdul'Baha, although he scolded me because I wasn't calling myself an elder, he told me that several times. I told you, you're an elder. You're one of the 24s. And do something about it. Then I knew I have to get up. Then I found out, oh my God, I wrote all these things before. Everything is working. Many things that came. I've spoken about this in the past. So, I'm seeing my note. Did I miss anything? Basically, I told you all of this, but some people might say that, okay, Abbas, if you're talking from behalf of God, behalf of Baha'u'llah, but then there's Baha'u'llah, there's a degrees of differences. There is a difference between characters, media, and the sources that is releasing the news, but all of them, they're the same thing. They're telling the same truth. Bob says if one mirror is in front of the sun, it reflects the light of the sun, but he emits this light to a second mirror. This mirror, the second mirror, is not facing the sun, facing this mirror. Well, then it's reflected in him too. And like that, this mirror to the third and finally to the seventh mirror. He says the seventh mirror is not as bright as the first one, but still it's a light, which means truth is in them too. I've given this example before. Imagine you're in a car and have a serious accident on a intersection. So you are into the accident yourself. Then there are people that are watching this, actual bystander, they're seeing it. Second level, then the news comes into TV. Somebody in the village doesn't have TV, he hears this on the radio, that's the fourth level. There are some places that there is no radio, this is printed in a newspaper. Well, what newspaper says is what radio is saying. And it is the same thing with the picture on television. And it is the same thing with bystander, they saw it. And it is the same thing, the guy who was in the action. See? Baha'u'llah is a person in the action. He knows exactly. He knows exactly what the report is. I'm just a newspaper. I'm talking, bringing the same news. It is the same thing. So I'm not infallible, but I'm also not incorrect. Okay? Now going back to these two other elders. I think I better speak this on the next video, where I'm going to talk about 5 levels of hurt or level of love, where 4 of them is what Baha'u'llah explains. The 5th one is I'm going to explain. But for now, this is enough. Allahu Akbar. Good night.